Well, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Today on the table in front of us, we have a $20 knife, and I'm pretty happy with it, actually. This is the SRM 9211, 9211. It is relatively new from SRM. It is on Amazon. Cutlery Lover reviewed one of these, and I thought, well, it looks pretty interesting. We'll give it a shot. It has what they call their ambi lock, which is sort of an access lock. It has really nice action. It has a thumb disc for deployment. It has a singularly beautiful blade. It is a sort of a trailing point tanto, and it is really gorgeous. Now, on Amazon and various other places, it lists other types of steel, but on the blade, it says 8CR13 MOV, and so that is what I'm going to say that it is. The thing about knives like this is it's kind of hard to tell, but at 19 bucks, 19 and some change, it's kind of hard to care because you get a really interesting knife that sits well in the pocket, that has a nice little G10 backspacer with a lanyard hole. It's got an access style lock and this cool thumb disc for deployment. God. Oh, sweaty thumbs will be the death of me. And you get a lot of style. And for me, for 20 bucks, it is hard to go wrong. And it's a big knife. It's not thick, but it is nice and long. And again, this blade, what we are assuming is 8CR13 MOV, is reasonably slicey. You know, it's got a very nice edge to it. Now, because it is sort of a saber grind through here, it doesn't come down to a razor's edge, but it does come down to a nice edge. And the grind, as you can see in the shine there, is really even on both sides. And look, I know that's a silly thing to make a big deal of, but in this day and age, I've gotten $200 knives, Spyderco, where the grind is uneven. So for a $19 and change knife with a fairly nice build, no blade play, no lock rock, no nothing, to have a really nice even grind, that matters. And I think it's worth sharing. So why am I sharing this really? Because, you know, I could do $200, $300 knives all day long, but there's a lot of people out there, me just a few years ago, where this $20 knife would have been super interesting and really fun to own. And so that's why we are taking a look at the SRM 9211 today. Again, I love this blade shape. I'm just completely enamored with it. It's gorgeous. Oh. Again, the action, very nice. Smooth, easy to open and close. If you like thumb discs. Now, a lot of people don't. I don't really have an issue with them one way or another. They're not my favorite form of deployment, but when they're done well, and this one is, it's fun. The only pop of color, again, is this little G10 backspacer that is orange. The rest of the knife is right up my alley, and I don't mind a little pop of color. So what do you get? Well, you get 1, 2, 3.5 inches on 3 3/4 inches of 8CR13 MOV. The grip area from right there is 1, 2, 3, 4 full inches of grip. This is a really good knife for people with big hands, and I do. I have big hands. The way the blade is shaped, there's no jimping, but you know, in the time that I've had it and the way that I've used it, you can come forward for draw cuts really comfortably. It is really good for push cuts, although the thumb disc is a little bit in the way of the cutting path. Nothing too serious, but just something to remember. If you do get up here towards this very end, you may run into the disc a little bit. It's got a beautiful sharpening choil and no smile. This thing is, as I said, the edge on this knife is done so well. Again, whoever did this, I don't know, could teach really expensive knife companies some lessons on how to do a plunge grind and how to do a sharpening choil for 20 bucks. It is G10. It's really nice and grippy. As you can hear, my thumb's popping as it moves along. Other than that, it is open construction, and it is milled out quite a bit on the inside. Lots of holes in the steel liners, which do help with the weight. I think it's pretty. I think it's inexpensive. I think it is a great budget pocket knife from SRM. And, you know, look, 8CR13 MOV is, well, it's an okay steel. It really is. It is really rust resistant. It holds an edge enough. You know, if you're out cutting really thick rope or, you know, canvas bags, or if that's your job, this probably isn't the knife for you. But if you're dropping this in your pocket and you're cutting open a package every once in a while, using it to cut tape, you know, the basic stuff that we do with our knives when we don't have sort of a hard use job, 8CR13 MOV will work for you for a long time without issue. And I've had this for a while now, and it has maintained its edge doing just those things very well. I haven't even had to strop it yet, and it is still finger slicey sharp. So look, 8CR13 MOV, not a super steal by any stretch of the imagination, completely reasonable in a $19 knife, which I think is awesome. Excuse me, we'll call it 20 bucks because it is 19 and change. Let's do some size comparisons because it is a nice long lean knife. Here it is against the Ritter Hogue. If we line up the blades right there, you can see that you get a little more cutting surface than you do on the Hogue, and you get a little more handle because it is just a little bit bigger. Here it is against the SOG Flash, the AT. I love this knife. And as you can see, again, the AT and the Ritter Hogue are very similar in size. You get just a little bit more of everything on the SRM 9211. And of course, our old friend, the Bug Out, just to round things out. Right? You just get a lot more knife. Now, every other knife that I've used as a comparison tool has better steel, has superior this and superior that. Of that, there is no doubt. But even the least expensive comparison knife that I used, which is this, is still $50 more than the SRM 9211. And for your average just carrying a pocket knife person, I'm not sure there's $50 less value here. In fact, I know there isn't. This is a fun knife. And it's just cool. It really is. You know, this is not knocked down, but it's not sharp. You know, it could be. Everything else is knocked down appropriately. There are no sharp edges, really. I mean, again, it's you can hear it, but it's not like fingernail catchy. The only place there's a sharp edge on this knife is right where you'd want it, right here on the edge of the blade. It's a very slick design. There's only two, right? There's a screw back here, and then the pivot. On this side, there's the screw back here, and then the pivot, and then two screws for the pocket clip. Now, on this knife, let's see if that'll show up. The screws are countersunk, so there's nothing to interfere with the pocket clip on this knife. Again, that's a feature that some $200 and $300 knives could learn something from. Let's go ahead and weigh it out. I don't think it's going to be very heavy, but let's find out together. I think the scale is just about ready to quit on me, but we'll use it until it dies. Yeah, we're right at 3 ounces, so this is below the ounce per inch line. This is a very lightweight, easy carry, and look how lean that is, right? Super thin in the pocket, no flipper tab to interfere with anything. The thumb disc is not taller than the scales, at least not much, and so when this thing slides into the pocket, there is just no interference at all. It is a really good and easy carry. Let's take a look at the blade stock. Now, I think that this is going to do reasonably well. I think it's going to be sort of thin stock. Let's find out together. Right back here at the thickest point. Yep, we are just at 3 millimeters. The handle itself is 11 millimeters, or, look at that, 0.4, less than half an inch. This is a great carry. For $19 and change, are you kidding me? Closed. It's kind of hard to tell because of the shape, but well, let's do it this way. At its thickest point, which is up here at the just below the pivot, we're just over of an inch, just 1 inch, right? The rest of the knife is, 0.8. This is a really lean, easy carry. I love stuff like this. Despite my massive and very expensive knife collection, this is the kind of thing that got me into knives in the first place. Yes, it's kind of an unknown SRM, which I'm fairly confident it stands for San Renmu, but they're advertising it as something else now on Amazon, so who knows? SRM is not a company that you're going to get great customer support from. If there's something wrong with the knife, you're probably going to be out of luck. But at 20 bucks, right? But what you get for your $20 is, again, an exceptionally well sorted out build. There's a fair amount of writing on the blade, but it's not big, so I wouldn't go as far as to call it billboarding. On this side, it just has one clean little SRM. You get comfortable handles, a really attractive blade in what I'm going to say is HCR13 MOV, a really nice pocket clip, just a stellar little design overall. Again, $19 and change. So do I recommend it? Yeah. As a first knife for someone, as a knife that you could give away easily, as a knife that you can carry around in a place where you might lose your knife. You won't care that much at 19 bucks. And I can say that because it's going to function in a way that works really well. It's not going to quit on you. And if you were to damage or destroy this knife, it would not be the end of the world. And that is a really nice feature. Anyway, this has been the SRM 9211. I'll give a special nod and thank you out to Cutler Lever for reviewing one of these and pointing me in this direction. This has been a really fun knife to have around and review. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions about the SRM 9211 or any of my knives, feel free to ask down in the comments below. We'll see you next time.